So let me tell you a wild story. A story about when Kwame Ture came to Ghana on a secret mission on behalf of Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah in 1966. Oh, and by the way, Kwame Ture recounted this story himself. For those who may not know, Kwame Ture moved to Guinea from the US in 1966 to become Kwame Nkrumah's political secretary. This meant that he worked closely with the Osagyefo and was part of his entourage. Now, if you know Kwame Ture, you will know that he was a fiercely determined revolutionary. This meant that he, like many others in the Osagyefo's entourage at the time, were itching to fight to restore the Osagyefo back to power in Ghana. They had witnessed many charlatans coming to the Osagyefo proposing all kinds of missions in Ghana. These never got anywhere. So Kwame Ture and about 5 other young members of the Osagyefo's entourage decided to offer themselves to be sent to Ghana on a mission. This group nominated Kwame Ture to approach the Osagyefo about sending them to Ghana on a mission. So Kwame Ture goes to the Osagyefo and says to him, "The youth group sent me. You know, sir, some of these people claiming to be fighters. We just don't know. They don't seem to be having much results. After all, sir, you do have us. Give us a mission and we will show you what we can do." According to Stokely, Osagyefo's reaction is one of surprise, but he doesn't say no, so they keep gently bugging him about it, and he finally gives in. Eventually, the Osagyefo gives them what Kwame Ture describes as a test. According to him, it was a test with firm conditions. Above all, there was to be no loss of life, an attack only on property, a particular government building to be taken down. Osagyefo demanded that they bring to him a plan of operations of how they would carry out such a mission in Ghana. So Kwame Ture and his group quickly got to work. They put together everything that would be required: material, personnel, contingency plans, entry and exit routes. The slogan they had for when they would present the plan to the Osagyefo was, "Not one error." This meant that they went over it from every possible angle, changing and revising it until they were finally satisfied. Eventually, they present the plan to the Osagyefo. He takes it and keeps it, says nothing to the group, but according to Kwame Ture, he kept studying it, trying to put holes in it, but he couldn't because it was thoroughly planned. While the Osagyefo is still reviewing the plan, Kwame Ture takes the initiative to go see his co-president, Sekou Ture. This is because he knew Sekou Ture was more likely to support the idea of their group going to Ghana on a mission. This was due to the fact that Sekou Ture was determined and ready to restore the Osagyefo back to power in Ghana by force, but for the opposition of the Osagyefo himself. Another reason for reaching out to Sekou Ture was because they needed his help with the materials and logistics for the mission. So Kwame Ture goes to Sekou and says to him, "I need some good news, what is it?" Then Kwame Ture goes on, "Yes sir, I believe it is possible the old man is about to give us permission to do a mission." Sekou then laughs and wonders, "Oh yeah? You think so, eh?" Kwame then answers, "Yes sir." Sekou then wonders, "You gonna do it?" Kwame responds, "Of course, absolutely sir." Sekou then wonders again, "Is he really going to let you?" Kwame replies firmly, "Looks like it sir, but we are really gonna need your help." He goes on to list all the things that they are going to need. Sekou Ture readily agrees to provide the group with all they will need to carry out the mission. After he's given a detailed brief of the entire plan, he tells Kwame Ture when and how he can get everything they need, as soon as the Osagyefo gives his permission. After the positive outcome of the meeting with Sekou, Kwame Ture decides not to say a word of this to the Osagyefo. Instead, they go ahead and put everything together. People who were ready to go, who would take in the arms, where they would drop them, everything. After nearly 3 weeks, the Osagyefo had still not given them a response, so Kwame Ture goes to him to force matters, and here's how the conversation ensues. "You know sir, you've had the plan for quite a while now. Well, what about it?" "Well sir, we are ready to go." "Ready to go? How can you be ready to go?" "We are ready to send people sir. We've got the people to go." "Really? You will need reconnaissance." Kwame Ture then says, "Figured we'll do what the CIA does, send in a journalist." Now, according to Kwame Ture, the Osagyefo wanted to know who the journalist was, so he explained that she would be an Afro-American, a sister from the party, smart and politically experienced. The Osagyefo then says, "You seem to have taken care of the details. Let's see, what about passports, explosives, equipment? Where will you get those?" Kwame Ture responds, "Your co-president, sir." Nkrumah then exclaims, "What?" Kwame Ture repeats, "Your co-president has offered all we'll need, sir. Everything on this list, everything." At this point, it is clear that Kwame Ture and his group had all bases covered, especially with Sekou Ture on board. With no further objections, the Osagyefo had to give in and said to them, "Okay, you can go." But before this, the Osagyefo requested to meet the journalist that they were going to send to Ghana on reconnaissance. This was duly arranged when she arrived from the States, and after this meeting with the Osagyefo, he was very impressed with her knowledge of Nkrumahism and her preparedness for the mission. Eventually, she went to Ghana on the reconnaissance mission, which went very well, and after that, the main mission could go ahead. Kwame Ture and his group duly undertook the mission in Ghana, and in his own words, everything went according to plan. The building came down, no loss of life. It created quite a stir in Ghana. One of the newspapers even ran stories claiming that Kwame Ture was responsible. After we did it, Nkrumah recognized that our group was quite capable of that kind of operation. But you know, he then completely froze all activity of that kind. He started to move more politically. Kwame Ture then goes on to talk about how they were ready to take action in order to restore the Osagyefo back to power in Ghana as the head of state, but it was not to be. We of course kept looking forward to the time of his return to Accra, but he definitely seemed to be putting a brake on those activities. At the time, that puzzled me a bit, but I think I understand better now. I have thought about this seriously over many years. And you know, a lot of my attitude toward the cancer comes from his influence. Let me reflect carefully because I've never said this publicly. But when I look at all his movements, I really think that Nkrumah knew long before we did that the cancer he had would not allow him to return to Ghana. But he was confident that the African Revolution would triumph, whether he was here or not. I told you his example of the boat approaching and me wanting to plunge in, and him saying, "All impatience is selfishness and egotism." His attitude was, "Look, this is a struggle. The enemy will do anything in his power to target the generals. If you are out front, you must expect to be attacked. Survival is not guaranteed, but whatever happens to you personally, the struggle will go on." I think about his attitude often. Kwame Ture then recounted sorrowfully, "Unfortunately, when everything was in place and we were just about ready to go in seriously, he fell ill and had to be taken to Romania, where he died. After that, there was nothing we could do. But there's no question, with Guinea's help, we could have restored him. He would have walked back in triumph, no question. The masses loved him. It was only the bourgeoisie." So this is the incredible story of how Kwame Ture and his group of young men willingly volunteered to risk their lives at the service of the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah. There are many more important and eye-opening historical stories like this that we plan to bring to light, but we can only do this with your kind support. Please don't forget to like this video and share it to others. Also feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section. It goes a long way. Thank you very much.